بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيبنا وحبيب رب العالمين رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي وفي رواية وهو متوسد بردة وقد لقينا من المشركين شدة. That was in the last riwayah. Now for this week, وعن ابن مسعود رضي الله عنه قال, Ibn Mas'ud رضي الله عنه, he narrates, لما كان يوم حنين آثر رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ناسا في القسمة. So now we have to understand about the Battle of Hunayn. Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, we already spoke about him. He was a Sahabi, he was extremely close to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, such that those who visited from outside or arrived in Medina the first time, they thought him to be from the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Now, what happened is after Makkah was conquered, at that time about 2,000 people in Makkah, they became Muslim. Some of them were convinced about Islam. They were waiting to accept Islam, and when Fatih Makkah happened, they said, this is the time for us to accept Islam. Others, they accepted Islam out of convenience, like their Islam wasn't so strong in their heart. It wasn't settled in their heart, but they accepted Islam. So now 10,000 people, Muslims, they went to conquer Makkah. 2,000 more joined them. Now the surrounding areas, for example, Taif and other tribes like the Hawazin, they said, the Muslims have conquered Makkah, which is the seat of our civilization. Now they're going to come for us. Rather than wait for them, let's go and get them. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he got this news. So after conquering Makkah, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, we're going out and we're going to face these groups of people as well. Right? Now some people, they try to say in Islam there's no such thing as offensive jihad, it's just defense. There's offensive jihad too, but there's rules and regulations to it. And these are examples of it. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he did this. So anyway, they went out to Hunayn. At that time, because they had 12,000, now look where the Muslims have come from. In the Battle of Badr, how many were with the Muslims? What's the number? 313, right? Our area code. Then in the Battle of Uhud, how many? Was it 1,000? So in tafsir we went over this. It seemed like 1,000, but right when they got there, 300 left. So only 700 were with them, right? 300 at the munafiqun, they left. 700. Then in the Battle of Khandaq, the Muslims had like 3,000, but it was more like of a siege, right? It wasn't like active fighting. Now the Muslims, they have 10,000. They've added 2,000. So one person on the way to Hunayn, this valley of Hunayn or to Taif that they're going to, he said, لَن نُغْلَبُ الْيَوْمَ عَنْ قِلَّةٍ. Today we won't be defeated due to lack of numbers. In the past we might have been defeated due to lack of numbers. Now we won't be. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't like this, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He teaches lessons. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He even mentions in the Quran that He didn't like this by saying, لَقَدْ نَصَرَكُمُ اللَّهُ فِي مَوَاطِنَ كَثِيرَةٍ يَوْمَ حُنَيْنٍ إِذْ أَعْجَبَتْكُمْ كَثْرَتُكُمْ. When your numbers amazed you, إِذْ أَعْجَبَتْكُمْ كَثْرَتُكُمْ فَلَمْ تُغْنِ عَنْكُمْ شَيْئًا. But it didn't help you at that time. So what happened, these people, the Hawazin and these other tribes, they were expert archers. So they began to shoot arrows at the Muslims. And the whole army was put in disarray. Many fled, majority fled. At one point it was Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and Abbas radiallahu anh and one other person. Who was the other person? They were going forward while everybody was going back. Who was this other person? Which Abu Sufyan? Bin Haris, that's it. Everybody, like in the Sirah Jalsas and the Bayan, they say Abu Sufyan bin Harb, right? They make it seem as Abu Sufyan bin Harb, the one who was the enemy of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for all this time, the father of Muawiyah radiallahu. This Abu Sufyan bin Harb, he was one of the people, he said himself, he accepted Islam. It wasn't settled in his heart yet. Over time it came. So we say radiallahu anhu. But this, the one that was standing with Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was Abu Sufyan bin Haris, who was his cousin, who was very close to him prior to Islam, who became very staunch against Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So now this Abu Sufyan bin Haris, he's making up for that. Him, Abbas radiallahu anhuma, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam are standing there, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying, Anabnu أنا النبي لا كذب أنا ابن عبد المطلب, that I am the Nabi of Allah, no lie, and I am the son of Abdul Muttalib. And then Abbas cried out to the people, your Nabi is here and you're going back. So then the Muslims, they regrouped, Allah gave them victory. It's a long story. But in this victory, they gained a lot of spoils of war. So what did they get? 40,000 goats and sheep. That's one thing. Number two, 24,000 camels. Okay? Now the rule for spoils of war in that time was what? It would be divided into fifths, right? 1/5, وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّمَا غَنِمْتُم مِّن شَيْءٍ فَأَنَّ لِلَّهِ خُمُسَهُ وَلِلرَّسُولِ وَلِذِي الْقُرْبَى. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would be able to take 1/5 for his family and to use however he felt, right? And the rest would go to the warriors, the remaining 4/5. So this, what is 1/4 of 40,000? What is 1/5 of 40,000? 8,000, right? MashaAllah, you're teaching SAT classes, so you should be, you should know it. Good. And what is 1/5 of 24,000?
Like less than 5,000.
4,800. Okay. So now, what did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam get in his share? He got 8,000 goats and sheep, and he got 48,000 camels. Now imagine, what are these things at that time? A camel, think about it as you have like a nice car, not a sedan. You have a SUV, right? You have an SUV that could take you around, drive you around. But now imagine if that SUV, it could give you milk as well, right? Whenever you're hungry, it could give you milk, so you don't have to go and pay. It's like $4 a gallon now, right? You don't have to pay that here, $6. The SUV will give you milk, and then you have the option to sell it if you want, or when it gets old, you could sacrifice it and you could eat it too, right? And your SUV, it could also have children and give you sedans as well, right? Imagine that's what a camel is. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had 4,800 of them, and then 8,000 goats and sheep. These are also valuable, right? That's why the Qurbani, it's a big sacrifice. For people in that time, the Qurbani was a huge sacrifice. Why? Because you're giving up your most valuable thing, a source of wealth, a source of food, a source of clothing, all of those things. That's what animals were at that time. Now it's a sacrifice for us because we feel uncomfortable going to the farm, right? We're out of our comfort zone. Either way, it's a sacrifice. Now, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had all of these. So from his portion, what did he do? Now we'll come to the hadith. وعن ابن مسعود رضي الله عنه قال لما كان يوم حنين آثر رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ناسا في القسمة. When the day of Hunayn came, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he favored certain people when he was giving out the distribution of war, but favored them from his portion, right? So those people, the people that he favored, they got from the 4/5 that everybody else was getting, that from his 4,800 camels and 8,000 goats and sheep, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is giving them additional. So what did he do? فَأَعْطَى الْأَقْرَعَ بْنَ حَابِسٍ مِئَةً مِنَ الْإِبِلِ. So he gave Aqra' bin Habis, who was a chief from one of the surrounding tribes. He gave him 100 camels. وَأَعْطَى عُنَيْنَةَ بْنَ حِسْنٍ. Unayna, he was the tribe of the Banu Fazara, he was the chief of the Banu Fazara tribe. Rasulullah says in him, مِثْلَ ذَلِكَ, 100 camels as well. وَأَعْطَى نَاسًا مِنْ أَشْرَافِ الْعَرَبِ. And he gave to the prominent and noble people of the Arabs, he gave them more. وَآثَرَهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ فِي الْقِسْمَةِ. So he favored them when he was distributing this. فَقَالَ رَجُلٌ. One man, he stood up. Some people say that this was Dhul Khuwaysira. Dhul Khuwaysira was the one about whom Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, from his offspring the Khawarij. These people, they'll emerge. Who are Khawarij? They were people, one of the first deviant sects of Islam. They did a lot of ibadah and this and that, yet their belief wasn't really there. And Ali radiallahu anhu went and he fought them and he killed them as well. Okay?